I had an experience like this a couple of weeks ago where I live now. Now I live in an apartment complex that's for senior citizens, people 55 years and older.
Right.
So one time it was the afternoon, and we were all sitting around a table, and there were probably 6 of us there, and another lady, Ann, came in, and she was there before I got there, and then I came in, and they were all there. And we were actually waiting because we have like a little card club that we do there on Friday, and so we were waiting for that. The other people would leave, and then Ann and I would stay, and these other ones would come in, and we'd play cards. So we're sitting at the table, and everybody was talking, just kind of like we're doing right now, just sitting around the table talking and all that. And all of a sudden, I turned my head and cocked my head back, and she says, "Did you hear that too?" And I says, "Yeah." And she says, "I heard it." She says, "What was it?" And I said, "Well, it was footsteps, but it came from back here." And she says, "That's exactly what I heard." Now, nobody else heard this. And they're saying, "Oh, no, that came from outside." He says, "No, it didn't." I said, "There was something back here." I said, "She heard this and I heard this." Well, the two of us picked up on this. No one else did. And it was footsteps that were behind us, Afterwards, we talked about it, and she's a very sensitive person,
yeah,
too.
And that's why you want to have a witness for most of your things. Like,
absolutely.
If one thing, let's say we're doing an investigation or something like that, one of the rules is that if something happens to one person, you're supposed to call in everybody else, see if they're hearing or seeing the same thing you're hearing. That way that helps your story.
Sure, it's more credible, right? Yeah, it's nonetheless you've experienced it, and regardless if somebody hears it or not, you know what you saw, you know what you felt, you know what you heard,
sure.
You know what you saw. I mean that's it. But it is nice when you have that backup. It's also nice when you have the film, or it's also nice when you have the recording.
Yes.
These things help
Take for
tremendously.
instance, when you talk about film of that Jude Huff picture.
Mm-hmm.
That's an amazing photo. I'm like, wow. And
now explain what that is. So for people that don't
was
know,
in 1991. One of the other ghost. I believe it's Dale Kaczmarek's.
Mm-hmm.
Dale Kaczmarek's group. I've never met the man, so I don't know him. But she took the picture, and what I have the understanding is that the show, The Ghost Adventurers, they did do a complete analysis of that, and they said that picture is real.
Oh yeah,
there is nothing wrong
doubt
with that picture.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me. I mean, you were talking about this yesterday about the dress. It looked like more. Some people think it's like a wedding dress or something like that, but it looks more like somebody's burial dress. Because why, Bob? The shawl that you saw.
It's a shorter dress. Mm-hmm. And I said, if it was a wedding dress, to me, many people have told me that
lavish.
Exactly. I says a Victorian wedding, it would have been very, there'd be a veil over the head. There'd be, it'd be very elaborate. There'd be a train. It'd be a long dress. And this thing almost looks like it's like a 3/4, like it doesn't go all the way down to the ground type thing. And it almost looks like the sleeves are like 3/4 sleeves or short sleeves on it too, and also too you can very distinctly see the head and see like a short hair. You can't make out facial features.
And it looks like a late photo from the 1800s.
Yeah,
I'd love to chime in, but I don't want to be a buzzkill.
No, please.
I know way too much about this backstory.
Please, but chime in. If you know something, please, by all the way. Cool.
It could take an hour. No,
no, make it simple.
I mean, generally speaking, I had some issues with it. I'm like Fox Mulder with this particular photo in X-Files. I want to believe, I really do. And how much time am I going to devote to this photograph?
Right.
Now, let's put the side story stuff. I don't want to make enemies yet. I already have enough of those with this field.
No. You're fine.
But they say, well, Kodak's saying, oh, it's a real person. It's casting a shadow. I'm sitting there thinking, well, yeah, it's a real person. It's not photoshopped, okay? They say they used infrared film. I heard, but can't validate, they had an infrared filter. Now, if you go and look at the classic Sony X-ray effect, are you guys familiar with this?
No.
Where you go to the beach and look at people under their clothing?
No, we don't do that.
I'm just giving you
I'm a little lost on that. When you go to you go to the beach, and
certain
look at
wavelengths of light can
clothing.
go past your clothes and bounce back, and as long as you filter it on the lens a certain way, blocking those certain frequencies coming back, you're basically seeing through the clothes. Now, you can have that same effect. Now, if that lady's wearing a dress, long gown, now parts of her are transparent and parts of her are not.
Okay, but is this not something that you could detect? I mean, let's face it, this is 2017. It's not 1917. Experts at photography would be able to
detect. Could it be replicated?
Here's the biggest problem I have with this.
Okay.
I'm going to be such.
I love hearing both sides of the story.
I'm glad
this
is not going to go over well. Dale Kaczmarek is a great friend. I've been at his house. I've ate his wife's food. I mean, I love the guy. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, this is very controversial. He never owned an original print off this negative. He had not. Have you ever seen the real print? Have you ever seen the widescreen view of the photo?
I thought Miss Huff had that the original.
Exactly, right?
Right.
Okay. So he never actually had a copy of this photograph. But he would talk about it. And I've been at his home. We've gone through his so-called archives, I guess you could call it. And he admits, no, I don't have a copy of this. But when the Sun-Times called and he got in contact and sent in the little snippet, what we normally would see back in the day was the woman sitting on the stone with the little tree, and that's all you had.
Okay.
You didn't have that wide shot where you see the fence of the cemetery in the corner and stuff like that. Now he sends it in, and he's supposed to be analyzing these photos, right? Well, why don't you ask for an original print? Now, how did I end up with an original print? I had a volunteer. We did cleanups at the Grove. Apparently, Jude was handing out copies of these. Okay, so that's how I ended up with it. She was somehow mad.
So
that's another story. How I got a copy.
You didn't have a copy.
Why
you had the,
well, no, he gave me an actual, the actual print off the negative. These were constantly off the negative, so it's like not a copy of a copy. But I took it home, this right off the negative, put it on a flatbed scanner, made a 300 megabit, file out of this thing.
Okay.
So, but my point is, why didn't Dale not have, as an investigator, this full-fledged photograph?
Okay.
That was a red flag for me.
My question is, so what?
It is a big deal because he's supposed to be this investigator inspecting all these people's photos from around the world. They're emailing him stuff, consulting him, trusting him. Now, from a professional point of view,
on spirit photography too.
and
Dale Kilmerk is a great guy.
He is a great guy. But I just had a problem with this. Why did you not have an original to analyze?
Well, there would. Let's face it,
here's where
there would
really
only be
upset
one.
me.
There would be only one original photo. It would be the original photo that
Off
was
the
taken,
negative.
and that would be it.
Now,
Right.
I heard...
No. What?
I'm sorry, Pete. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to.
No, when I was watching the Ghost Adventurers, okay, they said that they had Jude Huff's original, the original pic of that, and that's what they analyzed. And
You're
that's
probably talking about the one that I gave to them.
But they said that they
didn't even get it
Judy
from Dale.
Huff, but they said they got it from
That came
Judy
later.
Huff.
Are you talking about the Travel Channel Ghost
Yeah,
Adventures?
the
right.
guys- yeah,
right. And
those
then
two
there's the
guys.
Aftershocks thing. Okay, remember there's two
Yeah,
different kinds.
exactly.
Okay. We're
And
not
they
going to
do-
talk about Aftershocks right now. That's a separate issue. But before that, their so-called excellent, contacts. I have to say it was me. I gave them stupid phone numbers. It wasn't a big deal. So they contacted Dale. Jude didn't want to pick up the phone for anybody, not even me anymore. Okay, she was angry that I even had a copy of this photograph. It's a very controversial. This whole topic is very controversial.
But you're saying copy again. You keep saying copy. So,
Well, I had to make a digital copy off of an original print from the negative.
right.
Okay, that's how I had to do it. I couldn't keep the photo. I gave it back to
A
the
digital
person.
copy off a print of the original negative. So right there, you're talking. Am I right? 4?
All I want to do is look at this thing.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
that's fine.
Copies.
And who cares what I got? But why do I have a full, wide spectrum view of this photograph? And the guy who runs the organization, who's claiming partial rights to the photograph based on a contract with Jude, how they ran their group. But if he's analyzing these photos, why doesn't he have a wide? That's fine. Jude only gave him this little snippet, and that's fine. But that's just is this turning into a moot topic? I don't know. What gets me though is that when he found out I had this photo, he added more to the story, which
Okay.
got interesting. Now, I don't mean to. I'm not trying to debunk this photo. This is just why I have problems with it. If you go on my website, bachelorsgrove.com, you can download this photo yourself, the original. If you actually look at the lady, there's actually a white box from some sort of defect in the process, whether it was the negative or not. And he mentioned this. So he had to take that out before he gave it to the Sun-Times. So people didn't think. He had to doctor a photo so people didn't think this was a doctored photo.
Mm-hmm.
I have problems with this. I have serious problems with this. How
Okay.
much time do I need to devote to this photograph? Then I mean, like I say, I can add more and more and more, and I'm not going to sound like a good guy, but it's like there's too many problems with this.
Okay.
It's great that people are drawn to the cemetery, and it has a reality out there. There are real things going on out there that are absolutely amazing.
Definitely. You're absolutely right on that. But I think and once again, I don't know Mr. Dale Kasparek.
Okay,
I know.
Gentlemen, freeze that thought right there. We will take a break, and we'll come right back. This is getting great, folks. Stick with us. Come back.
You're listening to Paranormal Radio with Bob Trzeciak on Jack-O-Lantern FM 89.7, WRHS FM Norwich, and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Tuesday, October the 3rd, year 2017. And now back to Paranormal Radio and Bob Trzeciak.
Okay, we are back on, and in case you have just tuned in, we'll reintroduce everybody that we've got sitting with us on the panel. Mr. Tom Cameron, Mr. Tom Lineweber, Mr. Neil Gibbons, Mr. Steve Lineweber, and Mr. Pete Crapia. And then, of course, myself, Bob Trzeciak. We've just been talking a little bit, in case you just tuned in here and you're kind of wondering where we're at with the show, or if you fast-forwarded your button to where we're at. We're talking about the very famous photo that was taken at Bachelors Grove Cemetery. Everybody has seen this of the lady in the white sitting on the stone, and we've kind of got some pro and con going on with this. And Pete's come up with some new theories about this, and that's kind of where we're at now. We're talking about that. Some things that he's not real comfortable with about that photo, and he's just been sharing his thoughts and his views on that and his findings on it. So, okay, Pete, continue where you're at.
Oh, really? Should I?
Well, you started now. You may as well
yeah,
finish.
I know I started it. But
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say, I'm sorry, Pete.
No,
I'm sorry,
go on.
Is that I was saying before we went to break is that I don't know Mr. Dale Kaczmarek, but you also have to remember for every story there's always another story.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
And you don't have Mr. Dale Kaczmarek here today.
No.
And I'm not
he's
saying
not here to defend himself
he's
or
not
anything
here
like
to
that.
defend
No,
himself
he's
or
not.
anything like that.
Well, Mr. Kaczmarek is the president of the Illinois division of the. Isn't he the president of the Ghost Finders? Yeah,
Ghost Research
Ghost Research Society. That's what it is.
Correct.
Yeah, Ghost Research Society of Illinois. And I've had Mr. Kaczmarek on this show a couple of times. He's always been a great. He'll come on it, right away if you ask me. Oh, sure. Let me check my calendar.
I'm sorry, Dale.
And then he also was on when I did the shows over at WAG. I had him over there too. So yeah, he's really into this, and he knows.
And I think that would actually be.
So do you think it's
show.
something now since he himself did not take the photo? Do you think he's just not aware of it himself?
That's what I wonder, because should I say this? But sometimes he was there for the event, and sometimes he's not in his stories when I've had him in private. So was he out there when the photograph was taken or not? Please, I when the story's not even straight.
But see, one way or the other, would that matter?
Oh yeah.
Well,
your story changes. You were either there when that photograph was taken, and you can vouch nobody was sitting on that stone.
Okay, if he said he was there, that's one thing. If he didn't,
but then he goes and says he wasn't there because these are private conversations I've had with him.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And I don't want to have to divulge that. Honestly, I wanted to wait until he passed away.
You just did.
I know I have, and I've already done this a little bit with my own side videos that I've done on the Grove, on like memories of the Grove. If people go back and listen to some of this stuff, they can
Okay, so
start to
your
put it
feeling
together.
on it is that the photo has in some way been altered or doctored.
I don't think it's his fault.
Yeah. Okay.
No, he's not here to defend himself.
Okay, but one thing about this is, what would the motive be? What would the person's Judy took the photo? Now she's never made any money off this.
Actually, she did now.
Okay.
See, that was one of the issues. We knew after a while, based on what I've found out on the side, that she was upset initially because there was a popularity factor. She wanted to be popular about this thing. And then there was a money factor that got involved. Now Dale's making all this money selling books and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and she felt a little rubbed her the wrong way. So when Travel Channel called, and I told him I didn't want to go on the show. And I didn't want to tell him exactly why, but I did some consulting with them. And I said, look, I tried to get this lady to do an interview. I want to find out more about this. She's being very elusive. She doesn't want to touch the media. It looks like she just wants to get paid. So I tell you what, if you guys got the money, you need to pay her. And they said, oh, we got the money. We'll get her. And they sure enough did. When they got this interview, it was ridiculous to me. She talked about being molested by a ghost. It wasn't really nothing about the actual photo, in my opinion. Aftershocks may have been a little bit different with this whole thing, but no, I don't. I mean, what's the benefit? I mean, obviously, to some degree, it was a lot of advertising. That photograph. Hell, when I started,
see the thing that I'm a little
involved.
confused. If I can just stop you for just one moment here, is I'm a little confused as to why someone would go to the extent that they would go through to fake a photo like that. No, just a minute, Pete. Just 1 second. Number one,
is it fake though?
Well, you're kind of saying that. You're saying.
I'm thinking it was passed off. I'm not saying it wasn't put into a Photoshop.
Well, let me ask you to explain what you mean by passed off.
I think it was a real person sitting on a stone and looked pretty damn cool.
Well, then it's faked.
Well, it was passed off as a real thing, creating a hoax.
Okay, but
if that's the case,
if she took the trouble to go through that and do that, which she didn't.
I don't think it was a staged operation.
Why would you put that photo out everywhere? I mean, where everybody has access to it, and it's all over.
Well, I've run into a lot of people. People that have their different motives.
Everybody, I use that in my presentation.
If you want to impress,
I always give Dale Kaczmarek credit. I always give them. I says, it was taken by his group. They took it, and I did not know the lady's name. Now I do actually had her. One of the tours I did with the South Central Stickney Park District, she was actually on the bus, and she says, "I'm the lady that took that photo," and that kind of thing like that. And I didn't really take the time to connect with her then because I was busy with the tour.
She gets around now, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what? I have a question, Bob.
Sure, go right ahead. Yeah.
How many people were there that did? Do you know it all?
I can't even get a correct number. Like I say, the stories change.
Okay.
Why does the story
because
change?
The reason why I'm asking, Bob, is
you're either there or not.
Right. is if it happened in 1991, okay?
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Somebody loosens their lips about something.
Some years have, and what were we talking about?
Yeah, I've heard rumors.
How we said these things start and people add to it, take away from it, this and that and the other. You know, there may have been 4 people out there. Next time you know, you talk to us, there were 15 people out there, all claiming to be there when the photo was taken. Who knows, you know?
I can't give you a correct number. I should be able to give you a correct number, and I can't.
Okay.
Were you there?
I will take notes.
Were you there? When
was I? Technically, no. That's what I'm trying to find out.
How could you give a correct number?
Because Dale was supposedly there.
Okay, and he can't give a correct number?
Because sometimes he was there and sometimes he wasn't.
Okay, so we're not certain if he was there or not.
So which is it?
Okay.
Sounds like a Chicago bus accident. You know, there were 3 people on the bus when the
a
bus
photo-
got hit,
and
and then
they're
14 people are 14
they
people
come
are
out of
in
the
the
house,
exists, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
This photo actually exists.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think it was photoshopped.
Yeah,
like, you know, when you look at the original, just because there's a little white square
You got to
out.
give me the look here, Steve. What do you got to say about something?
No, I'm just creeped out about the people at the beach looking at with the
Oh,
camera.
the X-ray effect? Yeah.
That's the creepiest thing I heard all day.
This is great. This is great. Travel Channel. I did not want to go on their
This
show,
one's gonna
right?
get fun, Bob.
Turns out I had to do a little cameo on there by accident. So there's another guy out there who owns a Bachelors Grove website. And at the time, we were friendly. As you can see, I don't make too many friends later on because I open my mouth. But so he's out there doing infrared photography. And I'm a nature guy, so I walk up to this one tree, and I see something invasive growing on it. So I just kneel down, and I look at it, and then I lean forward more. But I'm hearing a camera shutter going on. You can hear time-lapse.
Okay.
And I stand up, and I look over there, and there's this guy's camera. It's actually John Stevenson. He's in this episode of the Travel Channel. And I turn to him, I go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted your photographs." He's like, "Oh, that's fine." I go, "You might want to delete those because I'm going to look like a ghost." Now, fast forward years later, I think he just completely forgot. Because he starts talking about these photos on a podcast, and then Travel Channel comes along, and he actually gives them these 2 photographs. So here I am at this special party, watching this episode of Travel Channel, all these people around, and this part comes up. And I remember this. And it's me in the photo. And I look like a ghost. I actually look like a ghost into these frames. And the guy next to me goes, "It kind of looks like you, don't it?" I didn't want to say anything. I'm waiting for other people to say something.
Ghost,
he just passed off a photo. He thought he had a picture of a ghost.
Well, all right.
But this is an infrared photo that looks like a ghost.
Like if it was like a person from a throwback era? Is that
No,
what
it's
you're kind
just
of saying?
me.
Or was it like there was like a kind of a blur?
No, there was
a haziness in the photo?
No, it's fairly clear. It is. It's fairly clear.
Do you see why I got to have you?
You'll have to see the
Pete,
put.
Do you see why I got to have you come on and
It
do
was
a
good
whole
enough
show,
to put
Pete?
on the show.
So he put it on the show.
Sure.
But how? I just don't understand that one, to be honest with you, because if it's a clear photo of how many years ago it happened?
I'm a little confused.
Well, I
with
could
this
give
one,
you the
too.
exact date. I
Please.
actually got my tablet.
No,
I could
just
probably
what
pull
year,
it up.
just off your head.
I mean, off my when was the Travel Channel episode? So then 3 years before that, maybe 2 years. I forget.
Okay.
I'll have to,
the
the timeline could be
it's
screwed
still
up, but
fairly new, yes.
But it was enough to where I think he made an honest mistake, and because he's talking about how
Why would you, Pete? You've been invited to go on these shows. Why have you declined going on them?
because
Just
I
you
know
don't believe
no,
in
because,
them.
no,
or-
oh, God, no, well, I know some of them fake stuff,
Okay,
and I don't want to be a part of that.
but if you go on there, wouldn't you be able to give your views like you're doing now? And make
Yes.
Your views
Oh,
a little more
so here's
known?
another problem. So I
Or
don't
or
go
do you
on
think they
there.
would just edit you
I
out?
still
or-
try to help them.
Okay,
I will still try to help.
all right.
So like with the Travel Channel, you've seen the episode where they had the cops around the area and they saw a ghost light.
What show was this? Which
The,
one?
the same Travel Channel episode with.
Are you talking Ghost Adventures?
Ghost Adventures, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
please.
yeah. So it's like, I didn't go on the show, but I told them, I got worried one day. They called me up and wanted more information. And I'm like, you might run into problems with kids coming and interrupting you. Because I've been back there on legal permits, people doing documentaries, with a cop there. And the kids still come out of the woods with flashlights.
Now, I have to stop
And-
you right there. I'm sorry, Pete. Is that I know of what they do on certain things like that. They set up a perimeter.
Well, who does? Who are you talking
The
about?
police
Cook County
officers-
Sheriff's.
The Cook County Sheriff's Department.
Okay,
sets up
normally
a
they
perimeter.
don't. They usually
Well,
only
of course,
require one
because-
officer around $60 an hour to have there.
No. What they did is because they knew it was that show that they set up a perimeter.
I
of
told them to
officers
do that.
on
That's
the
my point I'm
south.
getting
Oh,
at.
I'm not saying
Right.
again, but when you bring into the fact that there might be kids or something like that, they probably did the south, the west, and the east. I mean, well, actually, the south and the west and the north of the area. They probably set up a perimeter. Why?
Right.
Because of probably insurance purposes, maybe.
Yeah,
Because
but
they have probably
watch
those
this
guys inside
timeline.
there.
Okay,
this is
before
what
we go
makes
any
me
further,
suspicious.
I want to know what happened to the original question.
Okay.
What-
I
what's
asked
your
you. I
question
says,
is that?
why did you decline going on these shows?
Because I knew based on experience with people on the side, that this particular show does still fake stuff, and other shows do too.
Well, they're shows. They have to sensationalize to
You
do
know
that.
what? I
Yeah.
want no part of it that way. I will help you. I will help you gain evidence if that's what it means. I'll tell you where to go if that's where I
Yeah, but
feel.
see, you kind of... excuse me for saying it, but you're kind of contradicting yourself
How
there.
so?
I won't go on the show, but yet I'll help them.
Meaning, I will
Well,
point you in the right direction, but I'm not going to.
If you feel
because
that
I
way
knew
about
it
the
was
show,
going
you
to turn
just have
into a
nothing
circus.
to do with it. You just
I
have
knew
nothing
part
to
of
do
it
with
was
it.
gonna
You're
turn
out of
into-
it.
I don't want to be a part of that circus.
I would say honest labor of love, right?
Mine is.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what you're saying. Basically,
Yes, it is.
that you don't mind talking to people about it.
No, not at all.
But you just
Yeah.
don't want, if all of a sudden you're in something and you feel it's fake, you just don't want a part of it.
No, I
So-
want nothing
right,
to do with
exactly.
that.
But see, that's
Right.
what I was saying, and I'm not picking on you.
No,
I know you're
I
not
don't want
picking
you. I don't
on
want you
me.
to feel that
No.
way.
No,
I don't
throw it
want
at
you-
me. Go for it.
Yeah, no, I don't want you to feel that way. But like, all right, I don't want to be on the show because what they're doing is not right, and they're faking things.
Some shows I do go
But
on.
yet I serve as a consultant, and I do give them information. Well, if you feel that I don't want to do this because it's a fake,
Well, I
whatever,
wanted to see
I would
Jude
just-
be
I would-
interviewed,
I would want
so
nothing,
I'm going to provide them a phone number.
I would just say, no, I want nothing to do with your show, and I'm through with it, and that's it. I don't want to contribute to it. I don't want to be on it. Nothing. I'm through talking to you. That's
tell
it.
them that.
Why go halfway with them and say, yes, I'll give you information, but I don't want to be on that because I don't believe in it. If you don't believe in it, you just don't believe
I
in it.
don't
and
tell
that's
them
it.
why I don't go on.
Yeah.
I mean, I think initially with them, all I told them was that I didn't want to go on because there was going to be a certain person I knew was going to be there, and I didn't want to be around them. I kept it more pleasant that way. And that turned out to be John Stevenson with the whole photograph he put up of me as a ghost. He didn't know it was me, but or whatever. But that's the kind. I don't want to be involved in that. I knew John actually had some real
What have you got to say
experiences.
about all of this?
John actually has some real stuff, but he also fakes material and he also makes mistakes, and I wanted nothing to do with him.
Okay.
Tom, you want to chime in?
See, I know John Stevenson also,
There you go.
and that what you're telling me doesn't surprise me at all.
Okay.
He was at a number of our paranormal conferences. In fact, he at the paranormal conference that Bob and I were at. He was showing the pictures of you.
Oh,
Yeah,
that one
Oh yeah.
next to the tree, kneeling down, huh?
Yes. Yes.
Now, that's,
that was,
see, but I have a question here. Is the pictures that they're showing him? How is it that he's passing off as a ghost?
because
Doesn't
it's
it look
taken-
weird?
because it's taken in infrared. It doesn't look like a standard photography.
Okay.
Most people are not used to looking at infrared photography. You know,
Okay,
so
fair
so it
enough.
has an odd appearance to it to begin with. It does not have clear outlines. It's a fuzzy outline again because it's picking up
So-
the heat.
But there are
signature.
back-to-back photos to show you the position of the
Right.
body
So would you
changing,
say that-
and that's where it really pops out.
Pardon me, Pete.
Sorry.
What?
Yeah.
No, you're good. So are you saying then that maybe also that photo could be almost looking just like the Jude Huff picture of 1991?
Well, the difference is that Jude Huff's photo, the only ones that I've ever seen are in black and white. You know,
Right.
this one has has a color tinge to it, so you have that aspect of it. But
She had a better camera.
I was going
Yeah.
to say,
I know his setup. Compared
and-
to that, she had a much better camera.
and the lines on that photo seem far more distinct than the ones that apparently you're in, Pete.
His was more of a false infrared type of situation going on. And,
Okay, and
and
before
he
we-
had to be out of focus.
Before we go
to make
any
the camera
further
work.
with
There's
any
another
of this,
explanation.
I just would like to say, now a couple of names have been thrown out here, and I usually don't like to do this because I like to stay on a friendly basis with
I
everybody.
know.
Dale Kazmarek, you've been on the show a few times, and you're always welcome to come back on. He is going to be at the Elsip Library, which I would go and listen to him talk. He's going to be there on the 26th talking at the Elsip Library, giving a lecture and all that. So if you do have some of these questions, maybe you want to show up there when he's giving his lecture and maybe present him on
I
that.
do have one thing to say about
I
that.
will. I
I've
won't be
never-
there because I'm doing a talk over
Right.
at the Orland Park
I've
Library.
never- I've
However, I just would like
Dale
to, I
will
just
know
would-
not to hold this against
No, I
you.
just would like to
Dale's
say,
taking a
Mr.
lot of
Kazmarek,
slack,
you're welcome
so.
to come back on here if you want to come back on Paranormal Radio. If you hear this broadcast and defend yourself, Jude Huff, also too. If you would like to come on and say something in your defense about this, you're welcome to come back on. And then Mr. John Stevens, his name has been thrown out here too. And if you would like to come on the show and kind of defend yourself on this, because we like to get
I would enjoy that.
everybody's
think-
opinions.
I don't know if
here.
I'll need to be here, but I
Yeah.
will if I'm asked to.
You know, and the
Mhm.
one thing I was going to say about Mr. Dale Kazmarek is I've never met the man.
Mhm.
Okay, I was just saying, hey, got to
Yeah.
give that two-sided thing on this, all right? Because
Yeah.
the videos I've seen of the man, of Dale Kazmarek, I'm sorry if I keep saying the name for you.
No, it's
but
all right.
the thing is that he seems like a very knowledgeable man.
Oh yes, yes, yeah,
right.
And
yeah.
you know, I've enjoyed some of the videos that he's had on the YouTube.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
I from what I've seen him, I think he's a very knowledgeable man.
Mhm. I've seen some of your.
I just
I've seen
nitpick
some
at
of
the
your
whole
two stuff, Pete,
process.
too.
Okay,
I watched some
that's
of
all
them
I
today.
do. And I just have little problems when I'm just investigating stuff myself, getting to the bottom of a story.
Sure.
Okay.
Have you tried replicating the photo yourself with the knowledge you have, Pete?
I've replicated.
Would you be interested in doing it?
I want to do a further. Yeah, I want to do a full one. I've actually been working on making sure I could before I even talked about it. But hey,
what are some of the challenges you have with replicating it?
There shouldn't be much. It's just money. Just buying the right filters. That's all. Modifying the camera in a certain way.
We
maybe.
set up a date.
Sounds reasonable.
I believe
there's the
that's
still
okay.
photography and then there's the video stuff. You know what I
Right.
mean? But it's modifying my old camera to get.
Now, would this have to be done in the
I'm just a
evening?
little confused.
Oh, you want broad daylight?
It would be. This was done in broad daylight.
You want,
Photo was taken in
preferably
broad
you
daylight,
want
yeah.
sunny
Okay.
sunshine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the photo was taken in broad daylight.
I think your idea and concepts are interesting,
Okay.
and I think that what it needs to have happen is, proof.
Sure.
Can it be faked? Then, do that. Fake
I don't
it.
like using the word fake, but okay.
Well, I would say replicate
Okay.
the photo, the circumstances, and put the
If
theory,
that's how it all went
the
down.
hypothesis to the test. Yeah. I think that's an interesting way to go about.
Good point. Very well taken
yeah.
point. Yeah, I like that idea.
I say we do it.
Yeah.
We find out.
That photo
someday,
was
we all get together and do
taken.
it.
What year
I'm
did you
cool
say
with
it was taken? 1990.
91.
91. It's fairly recent. Like I said,
Now, one of the
science.
issues you're going to have is finding true 35 mil infrared photography. You want to go that far, okay?
I'm sure we'll find it.
But I'm just
We
saying,
need a list
and,
of
and then being
what-
able to develop it
There's
in a
somebody
proper
with it.
way,
Yeah.
okay?
Right.
To do it at home costs even more money.
Well, then we're gonna.
And what
you
you're
wanna know
trustworthy more at home than you
I-
are at a shop.
I think we should do it by the same process that person did, and we'll ask them what was the process that you did it. The only reason why is not to knock them down and
Of course
say
not. No,
that's
yeah.
not the point. We just, as investigators into things like this, of course, you want to debunk it. But if all of a sudden you find something legit and you can't explain,
I hate that word.
There
by
you
the
go.
way.
Then we've got
wonderful.
something here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And I like it when you find something legit.
See, I always thought that this thing was kind of tried and true, and it was proven, and no one could find
That's
anything
what I
wrong
thought
with it.
too.
and-
But
and-
I'm listening.
I
to
sit
But I'm
back
hearing
and I
a
watch
whole
all
other
the shows
theory
say
here.
that, and I'm like, no explanation.
I just think
There's a
it,
very plausible explanation.
well, it's a great idea, and I think it just stops short of proving that this is how it could be done. And I think that's what has to happen.
So,
yeah, sure.
yeah,
I agree.
I'm up for it. Am I going to throw my money at it? Maybe.
I think this would be great for an episode of Mythbusters, actually. It'd be a great
Yeah,
episode.
see,
I
like a
don't-
MythBusters. Yeah,
I don't want to make the Grove look like it doesn't have any real stuff going on.
But
at
you
the
want
same
also-
time.
I'm
But
sorry.
at the same time, no, I do want to.
You
get
want
the
to at
bottom.
least give the truth.
But
to
I
people.
like Dale.
Yeah.
I
There's
do.
no-
I really like Dale. I did not want to.
I don't
Okay,
think.
it
I don't think.
happened
I don't
tonight,
think
but,
the
it's-
kindness that you have for Dale has anything to do.
No,
with
not at all. No,
us
no.
finding out the truth about something. Just like if I want to find out the truth about a crime or something like that, it has nothing personal, and you shouldn't think of it as that personal.
But at the same time, believers or non-believers, what's it really going to prove if we do this? And it turns out 100% the same.
Well,
Well, that's kind of interesting, and I think that
It's just that's what it's
if
gonna
we
be,
can't
right?
replicate it, then I
Interesting.
would say that
Hey.
it's still unknown.
it's unknown.
I would
And
say
to-
that returns us back to, well, there's more to the story. That it's not solved, that we don't have the answer, but maybe we do. And I think that, the only thing, if you're committed to the truth, the
I am.
only thing, the
And
next
you brought
logical
this up.
step
You
is
brought it up.
to,
Yes, I did bring
Right.
it up.
the next
we
logical
wanna
step
work
would be to
with you.
replicate it, right?
Yeah.
So yes,
Yeah,
yes, it would be.
It'd be really cool.
But
I think it'd be
you know,
awesome.
I would have done it a long time ago, but I wasn't going to go try to find 35 mil infrared film and
Leave it
spend
to
all that
us.
money.
We'll figure it out.
When my gut's telling me, oh, I can replicate it, of course. I mean, you can replicate. If you can replicate it with video, easy enough.
But replicate it with the
You know what I mean?
technology that was available at the time.
back then, which
Well,
is
we're
even
not
better.
talking
which
about
is
an
definitely
80-year-old or 100-year-old photograph. We're
I
talking
would like to
something
go back to
20
the
years
original
ago or
equipment.
30
Tech,
years.
tech changes
We're
pretty
talking-
quick.
Yeah, man. Look at how many iPhones they keep having. But
Can't
still
do it
they
with the
just ask for a
iPhone,
phone.
and we cannot use this at the beach.
No. I would.
Well, how would it be? All right, technology now is better, right? Photographs are better.
Mm.
Photographs are more real. How about if you try to replicate this with something available now, something state-of-the-art that we have now?
I'm willing to say you could do it both ways.
I say you do 3 different kinds of pics of 3 different kinds of machines,
Yeah.
of photographic cameras, and let's see what happens.
I see. I'm just a little confused with the fact that why someone would take the trouble to take a photograph like this, make it public, put it out there all over the internet, put it all over everywhere. It's public, this and that and the other. Not really make any money on it, although he says that she has made money on
My
it.
gut says
But
Dale
not to
wasn't
do this.
there, and she took the photo herself. And
Okay.
and he passed it off, took her word
Well,
for
apparently
it.
nobody
Because he
won
seems
millions
to
of
really
dollars off
believe this is the real deal.
He put it in his book.
No, I really
it's
believe
in his book
he
on spirit
believes that.
photography.
I just saying I'm finding discrepancies in the story. There's holes. There's the whole white thing, taking that out before it hits the Sun Times, and only telling me that after you find out I got a copy of or whatever. I got.
And you know what I would recommend, Bob, is just leave it at that and wait for Mr. Dale Kaczmarek to come in here and go ahead. If he wants to come on your show and give us his side of the story, please, by all means.
Yeah, and like I said, he will be at the Elsip Library on the 26th, so he's out there to reach. So if you're free on the 26th, he'll be there talking, so you can,
have a fist fight?
No, not at all. Absolutely, no, not at all. No, not at all. It doesn't.
I already have enough issues with the Grove and
no.
everything. But,
No.
Yeah.
Well, in any case, we do the most fun haunted pub crawl. I might throw
Let's
that
make it
out.
fun.
Yes, everybody,
Oh, heck
plug,
yeah.
everybody, plug your tours again and stuff. You've got.